right, so officially welcome, Jenny, for the first time to the Zoom room. Oh, not for the first time, actually, because you were in here on Friday, weren't you, when we did the presentation. This is your first sort of members session, so you're most welcome. There might be a couple of other people joining us. Sometimes they just join late, but otherwise, yeah, we'll just do the session. Because there's people, well, not only for you, but there's other members who'll get the recordings. So everything's recorded on Telegram. So yeah, you're just saying about today's lesson, that you kind of got it, but it's all processing. And my comment is just that you can read something and intellectually you can kind of go, yes, as I give, I receive, but it's kind of got to sit at a deeper level of really understanding experientially, and that's why these lessons are perennial. You can do them year after year, and you'll find that they never really fade, because they take you deeper into your own mind and into your own understanding. Realizations start happening as you awaken. So I've been doing it for 16 years, and yeah, it's like every lesson's a fresh lesson. It's quite extraordinary. You think, well, surely you'd get tired of it. I think because there are 365 lessons, that's good. If it was the same lesson every day, then maybe. But you forget, after a year, you've gotten that particular lesson. So it has this kind of evergreen freshness to it. And then, every time you look at a lesson, you're in a different state of mind, and so the lesson shows more to you, it reveals more. So that's why this can be an ongoing spiritual practice for the rest of your life. There's always something to be gleaned from every lesson, even if you've understood it in a previous year. It's just a reminder, even if you understand it, reminding about the principle, and then maybe just understanding on a deeper level. Okay, so how you've done your little check-in. That's what we normally do, and then I'll just share my screen, and what we do is go into the lesson, go into the email for today. So just have a read of the quote, and there's a bit of commentary, and then that'll take us into the lesson itself. So if you want to read the quote, and any thoughts on the quote, and then paragraph by paragraph, just read those first 3 paragraphs. That'll lead us into the lesson. No, you're just muted.
Yeah, sorry, John, I don't have your glasses, so I can't actually read it today.
Sorry, what did you say? You can't read it?
Sorry, I can't read it because I've not got my glasses on.
Okay. Do you want me to make it a bit bigger? Does that help?
So you'd like me to read the quote today?
I'll make it bigger.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So in God, love is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work.
That's from Corinthians, the New Testament. So any thoughts on that?
No.
I chose it because it's really about the idea of being blessed by God or love, and then extending these blessings. So in all things at all times, having all that you need, will abound in every good work. So these blessings that you've accepted now flow through you in your thoughts, your words, and your actions, and those are the good works, which lead to kindness and very very beneficial behavior for not just yourself, but for others. And so the message there, kindness is a superpower. But it requires first that you accept this for yourself, and then you extend it in your thoughts, words, and actions. So I think the quote makes that pretty clear. Okay, so then if you read the first paragraph.
So today's quote from the New Testament of the Bible follows on beautifully from yesterday's one about God being a superhero, because God, or perfect love, gives you the superpower of kindness, that it blesses you with. It blesses you with to bless others with your kindness through the good that you are inspired to do in the world.
Okay. Does it make sense? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's just, it's that idea of having that superpower of love and kindness. And I guess following on from the quote above, it's the abundance of it and going into later on, and it's sort of a bound to give away. So that's what I think. Because kindness isn't something you hold on to. It's just naturally by itself wants to seek others and be with others. So
yeah, by definition you can't. Well, you can be kind to yourself, I suppose. So there's a kindness, self-kindness. So that's kind of accepting the blessings internally and feeling this loving kindness in your heart. But then, typically kindness is associated with extending that to others through the good you're inspired to do in the world. So there's many opportunities in a day. Often when you're interacting with people throughout the day to extend it. A word only takes a kind word, an action, and you can be the channel of this superpower in the world, which that leads us quite nicely into the next paragraph. So if you read that, paragraph 2.
So this makes you the superhero, or translated into ACIM and our alternative non-Christian language, the saviour or awakener of the world through your kindness towards everyone and every living thing.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, the idea of being a saviour, or just by the very act of being kind towards everyone and every little thing, it's like every single deed, every single action of kindness actually counts.
Yeah, and this is how it's translated into the world.
Yeah.
So it's not theoretical, conceptual. It's about practically living it in the world to bless other people and other living creatures that you interact with on this level. And then on the quantum level, that goes into the ether, into the whole mind, which we share, and that helps everyone. The more loving kindness that's being thought, felt, and expressed in the world, the more likely it is that other people will tap into that frequency and start doing the same. So you contribute with every thought, word, and action to either a kinder, more loving world, or an unkind, cruel world. Those are the choices, depending on what you choose. So I think he's making it all of these lessons. So it's about saying first you accept these blessings for yourself, and then extend them out.
Yeah, because if you don't have it, you don't have it to give. And obviously the kinder you are to yourself, the more kindness you've got to give to others as well. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna bring up this. I think this integral model. You may have seen it or may not have, but it's relevant because there's a story I wanted to tell. So a while ago, this lady she'd started a WhatsApp group called Random Acts of Kindness, and so I was like, okay, great. I joined the group, and it's all about random acts of kindness. So I posted a couple of things about meditation. I think I shared some meditations on there, and then she was kind of going, no, 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 you can't do that. I'm like, well, why not? Uh, she said, no, 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 we just want to focus on the actual act and not on anything internal, no meditation or anything like that. And I said to her, I posted on the group. I said, you can't really do that. It's not just external. You can't just do random acts of kindness if you haven't got kindness in your heart. So there's an internal shift. If you're not feeling it in your heart, then you're not going to be inspired to do random acts of kindness. And things like meditation and other spiritual practices are what help you to make the internal shift, so that you're feeling the love, and then it kind of naturally wants to extend through you in kindness. And she excluded me she removed me from the group because I was saying this, which I found quite ironic. Because actually my random act of kindness for that day was to share the meditation on her group. I was like, well, maybe it wasn't random enough for her. I don't know. But the point is, what she was doing was taking what Ken Wilber, is the guy who came up with this model, was taking a flatland world view. So she was looking at it from just the perspective of the external, and saying just this external world, the exterior, is real. So let's just focus on the behavior. Oh, we want behavior, but not acknowledging that this is an integral model. Life works integrally. You can't divorce behavior from what's happening in someone's mind. Otherwise, it would be so simple. The salvation of the world would be random acts of kindness. Let's all just do random acts of kindness, and we'll all be kind to each other, and no problem. Why wouldn't everyone do that? Well, they won't do that because they have all kinds of blocks in their mind, and they're not able to feel. They're not able to feel kindness in their heart. They're too blocked. So you have to unblock the channels to allow the kindness to flow through, which is why we have spiritual teachings and practices. There would be no need for them if it was as simple as on the level of form saying, oh, we'll just do random acts of kindness, and the world will just if everyone does that, we'll all be kind to each other, and Bob's your uncle. So it's a very flatland world view of how this works. And of course that's not going to work. You have to look at it integrally. It's the interior shift, and this is what the miracle of A Course in Miracles really refers to, the change of mind internally, which then leads to change in behavior and change in measurable outcomes, performance outcomes, as it calls them here. So it's inside out.
Well, I guess you could be giving to somebody and doing an act of kindness, but you're really resentful that you're doing this as well, or resentful of that person. So it's not really an act of kindness when it's you either resent the person or it's creating resentment in you.
So you could do something. You could do the same action, and it can be done, from a place of, well, I should do this because I've got some belief system. Maybe I'm part of a formal religion or something. It says you should be kind, but actually in my heart I'm not really. So I do the action, but I'm actually not really feeling the love, which means that there's a lack of integrity between my thoughts and my actions. There's no integrity. Integrity comes when you have the inner world and the outer world in alignment. So you have to look at this integrally. You can't just hive off and say, okay, well, let's just focus on the behavior, because that's been tried, in psychology and in the workplace, motivation programs, this kind of thing. Okay, well, let's just try and facilitate a change in behavior. And inevitably those programs fail because they're not addressing the person on the mind level, saying we need to actually have a change of mind first, change of attitude, change of beliefs, change of values. So that would be called, on the individual level, personal transformation. And on the collective level, that's some kind of collective shift in the culture. It's a collective change in culture, which then leads to the change in individual behavior on the individual level, or in systemic behavior, patterns of behavior from groups of people, which then leads to changes in what we call systems. So that's organizational structures, processes, tools, and so on. So what you have to look at the whole thing integrally, and it always starts within. So it's about a change in mind first. Seek not to change the world, says Yeshua, but seek to change your mind about the world. So he's saying don't seek the change in the exterior, seek it within, in your own mind, and then the behavior will change. So the external world changes because you're inspired to speak and act differently, and that then changes behaviors and performance outcomes. But it's inside out rather than outside in. And that's what this Course in Miracles is, a mind training program that's inside out, designed to create a really deep internal change of mind that then you express or extend outwards in your behavior, which of course then reinforces your change of mind. So the miracle has two aspects: the internal shift or correction in your mind, and then on the external level, the actual outcome. And he uses the term miracles to describe both in A Course in Miracles. But actually every miracle has both of these aspects. Generally, sometimes something can just be internal, but generally something will show up on the external level of form as well, because our mind is primary, so our mind influences our behaviors and other people's behaviors, and then performance outcomes. We've changed our mind, and then it kind of shifts the quantum field, and then often things play out differently, and we can observe that. So yeah, I just wanted to dive into the integral model to explain this on a deeper level. So any questions about that? Why?
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's actually a really common sense model. You go, yeah, well, why doesn't everyone know this and think this way? Because it makes complete sense. But if you've been conditioned into just believing in the exterior and not really acknowledging interior, that's typically the scientific materialist paradigm, then this is very hard. For people to think integrally is a big step to get out of just the exterior domain. The scientific materialist paradigm just thinks in exterior terms. To get out of that and start shifting into integral thinking is a profound change of mind, profound transformation in a person's thinking.
Yeah, it makes me think of, it's coming from the inside, or some of the metaphor where we're projecting out, and it's a movie screen, and it's like, well, how can do you know what I mean? It's like it's projecting out from the inside. So if you want a different movie, it needs to be changed from the inside rather than expecting the movie to change.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. The movie analogy is a good one. So it's like the script. The script is loaded into the projector, and then it's gonna go across the light. It doesn't work that way anymore with digital, but that's how it used to work. So then you have the script that's already loaded in, and now that script needs to change. So you change the script when you change your mind and you start letting go and releasing negative thoughts and emotions, because those then make up those are basically the script writers. The ego or the Holy Spirit are going to be writing your script. So when you let go of the ego's negativity, you actually rewrite your script and you change what's going to come.
Yeah.
So all your thoughts, words, and actions change, and so then you change the script, and now that's going to be projected out into the dream world, into the movie of your life, and it's going to be a different movie because you changed your mind. So
yeah. So what are you, what are you writing from? Are you writing from love, from the truth of who you are, or are you writing from the ego's truth, which is fear and anxiety and worry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to profoundly affect the script playing out. So the played out script is how it manifests in the movie or the dream of your life, and that's going to profoundly affect that, how that plays out. So hence, Yeshua says, seek not to change the world. Don't try and change the script, the projection. Seek to change your mind about the world, because then you're changing the script writer and the script at its foundation, and actually getting somewhere. And you can, the miracle is when that happens, and then the script changes, and you see that change, and then the change confirms to you, oh, I did this, and I believed only in love, and then this profound change happened, and so you see the benefit of changing mind. Okay, so if you want to read number 3, so kindness is love in action.
So kindness is love in action, and how the blessings of love flow through you into the world to bless others, blessing you in the process, as today's mind training lesson from the ETIM workbook tells us very clearly.
Yeah, and then there's the lesson.
And the lesson is, I bless the world because I bless myself.
I bless the world because I bless myself. And I bless myself, and so I can bless the world. You can switch that on. Either way, it makes sense. So this is really pointing directly to this integral model and saying the world is the exterior. So I bless the world because I bless myself.
Yeah.
I can only really bless the world if I bless myself, because where are the blessings coming from? I can only bless the world from an internal state that feels blessed and abundant. And in that abundance, then I feel naturally that I want to extend it. When we don't feel abundant, when we feel cut off from the source of abundance, then we don't want to extend. We don't feel like extending the blessings. Instead, we project out our fear and anger and hatred and attack onto the world. And so that's the ego's substitution for extending blessings, is projection of its own thoughts and emotions onto someone or something else externally. Yeah, looks like Sally's joining us. Sally, I don't think so. So let me introduce you. Hi, Sally.
Hiya.
Welcome. I thought you might join us. So this is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Sally.
Has joined us on a free trial. About a week ago, was it, Jenny? Yeah. Last Tuesday, she did a guided meditation in Glasgow, and has had some pretty profound experiences since then with the theta meditation.
I heard on a recording. Well done you for doing it, Julie. Yeah, I've done that a few times. Yeah, it's deep work, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I think this is tomorrow will be day 7, so day 6 today of doing it. And yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's just the doing it, isn't it?
Maybe you can just share a bit of your experience of doing the free trial, because I think you're if you were an ideal student, I'd say if there's such a thing as an ideal student, I'd say you were probably it, because you just explain to Julie what you did.
Yes. Oh, is this Sally?
You asking me?
Yes, Sally. Yeah.
Well, I was doing lots and lots of different things. I was well into lots of different courses and programs and TM and different types of meditation. And after I'd been on one evening event with Jonathan, I thought I've got to give this a really good go. So I just stopped everything else and just focused my whole attention on the 3 weeks. And I think that really helped, because otherwise I think my energy would have been really scattered. It's quite complete, isn't it? The three weeks introduction to it. And I felt by doing as many parts of it as I could, I didn't do all of it, but certainly as many breath breaks and as many meditations and as many lives as I could, I think it showed me how important this work is and how important it was to continue with it. And I think if I'd have continued doing all my different things, all my scattered, things that all were quite fun and interesting, but I think it would have distracted me from this program. So yeah, it worked for me to just put all my eggs in one basket, really, and it's working for me.
Thanks for sharing that. And by contrast, someone else, I think you introduced. I can't remember who exactly it was. Someone mentioned her name, but she said to me, "Oh well, I've got so much going on. I've got 5 different courses I'm doing in this time," and she wasn't willing to just say, "Okay, I'm going to drop all of that and focus on one." And that kind of scattered approach isn't really going to get you very far, because this true spirituality is about going deeper. It's not about going broad and saying, well, I'll dabble with this and I'll dabble with that. It's about saying, let me go deeper and choose a path. Ken Wapnick, who's one of the best teachers of the course ever, listening to him, he says, well, look, shop around, look at various ways, but if this resonates with you, then commit to it as a path and say, okay, this is my path, and I'm not going to go dabbling and diluting the waters. I'm going to stick to this because it's about going deeper into a path that takes you to the ultimate truth. And A Course in Miracles does that. It's a non-dual teaching, which takes you all the way to the full realization of who you are, what God is, what reality really is, if you'll allow it to. So that's a great start, just to really dive into it for 3 weeks and give this program a fair trial, and give the Course in Miracles a fair trial, and then after 3 weeks see how you feel, and you'll know after 3 weeks if you'd like to carry on.
I think what I got from the theta healing meditation is
continue with it or not, but give yourself a
I was just saying sorry, a bit
Julie?
there. Just from doing the theta healing meditation, I realized the power of forgiveness, but actually how necessary it is, especially for the way we live in our Western society, of really clearing that out and clearing out, those ideas of anything that's against love. And that's something that I've gotten from ACIM, is like you cannot get to the center of who you are without letting go of resentments of whatever kind they are. And I just realized the real deep importance of that, actually, for any kind of spiritual progress.
Well, as I said in the talk that you attended on Friday, there's really one thing that lies behind every spiritual path and practice, and that's letting go. That's the common theme. Whatever you want to call that, it's been called different things: forgiveness, letting go, surrender, releasing, clearing. There's a number of names for it, but it all comes down to, can you let go of what doesn't serve you? First of all, recognize what doesn't serve you. That's part of it, but it's as a process. It's a letting go of what doesn't serve you. And if you can do that, then you open the way for this, what I call pure formless awareness of perfect love to arise, because that's your base state. But if you've covered that over with all kinds of grievances and resentments and fears and anxieties and various other dysfunctions, then that awareness is obscured, and you'll never experience the unconditional love that comes from that awareness. So it's very, very simple. Just one thing you've got to learn. And that's what this program is dedicated to. That's why it's called the art of letting go, because you've got to learn, how to let go, and it's an art, not a science. If it was as easy as, okay, well, just, learn a formula and then you've got it. The principles are there, but it's an art because it's applying the principles in your daily life and not getting tripped up, not getting fooled by the ego. And so, we train our minds to become better and better at doing that, which is why we do the daily mind training with these lessons and all the other spiritual practices around these meditations and breath breaks and live discussions. It's all about helping you to get better at this one key skill of letting go.
Something I just found out recently is the letting go thing. People can have resistance to letting go. So they can be willing to let go 50% or 60%. But the art of letting go 100% is 100% surrender, isn't it? Using the method that I use, this energy alignment thing, where I can ask the body exactly how much it's letting go, even though I thought I was doing it pretty well. Like, it's my whole life path to do this work. I was still only 90% letting go. So today I was able to let go of the other 10%. And I think maybe that's the holding back the ego part of us. I just like, no, I'm not ready to completely let go. I just thought I'd mention it in case anybody else is listening and wants to check that out for themselves.
I think, to 100% let go, you need to go into the deep metaphysics of understanding this course and what it's saying about reality. So there's many techniques that work quite well, but to really fully let go is letting go of your hold on reality, and that's letting go of a separate self, your concept, believes is real about itself, about the world, and that's incredibly deep. That's like, okay, the whole thing's got to go then. Your entire identity and separate identity and seeming reality as a human being in this world ultimately has to go. So that's why the 100% letting go is challenging, because it goes very to the very core of who you think you are and what you think your reality is. And the only way you're going to do that is if you study a deep teaching like this, a non-dual teaching. It really helps you to dig into the deeper parts of your subconscious where there's that core resistance, bring it into the light of true awareness, and then release it. So yeah, I think to do it 100%, there's many techniques that can be very helpful, but they might only take you to 60, 70, 80% to really do the whole job and let go of that core. It's a core belief in separation, isn't it? So just for Julie's benefit, you may not have seen this. Sally, you've seen this probably hundreds of times. But I'm going to show this diagram because this is kind of how the metaphysics works of this. So what Yeshua explains in the course is summarized quite nicely in this diagram as to how this all came about. So we say, well, how did separation happen then? Well, it was a tiny mad idea. Tiny mad idea of separation is the fall from grace, from this grace of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, perfect oneness, God, whatever you want to call it. A tiny mad idea enters the mind, and then that idea blooms. We like that idea, we desire that idea. So that now becomes the ego, the sense of a separate self. Consciousness is another name for it. The belief in separation. In religious terms, it would be called Satan or the devil. And so that becomes the source then of this world. You've got separation, the idea of separation behind the idea of individuality. So I now believe I'm an individual self. I'm in division and duality, and I have a separate identity named, which is a further fragmentation, a further separation. And then we experience this tremendous guilt and sin at the imagined crime of destroying God or love or oneness or pure formless awareness. So this is how the ego then takes us down the ladder of separation into further separation, further fragmentation. So guilt and sin for this imagined crime leads to inevitably a sense of a false expectation of punishment that appears to be real to us. So we now think we're going to be punished for the imagined crimes. The idea of guilt demands punishment, and fear is inevitable. And now we project all that out and invent a fearful, wrathful, separate God that's somewhere outside of us, and fear that will be harmed, will be killed by this imagined fearful, wrathful, vengeful God. All of this gets projected into an illusion, a dream world, which the ego is made up to escape this terrible guilt and fear. So it runs away into a physical universe that it's invented, where there are apparently many different forms of life, and so you get these increasingly complex and sophisticated separate forms of life, including human beings. And now they're playing in the game of separation because they think that they're separate entities stuck in bodies, and they think that accusing, blaming, attacking, complaining, all of this is real, and this is what populates the dream world. So it's a projection of guilt, sin, fear, and attack on a deeper level. And then they believe that they're a victim of the world, living a helpless, enervated little life, which is an acronym for hell, of limitation, lack, loneliness, and suffering before their bodies finally die. And so that's then the ego's victim identity that completely contradicts the truth of who you are as the pure formless awareness of perfect life. So that's just a little 5-minute overview of this thought system. But to talk to Sally's point, you really have to go very deeply or high into this. So climb up the ladder of separation and get to the point where you see that really there's one core idea, this idea of separation and being a separate self that underlies all of your dream experiences in the dream world, and be willing to let that go. And that's the 100% letting go. So when you can let go of that core belief in separation, then the thoughts of separation will disappear from your mind, and all that will be left is this, the pure formless awareness of perfect oneness. And so we're all on a journey through time and space to do this, to correct our mind systematically and progressively by climbing up the ladder of separation. And you do that in each instance as your daily life unfolds. You do that by reinterpreting the ego's dream with the Holy Spirit, which is the remembrance of oneness. So it interprets everything differently, and it brings you back to a state of oneness no matter what seems to be happening, where you will find peace. Now, as you do that, you're teaching your mind systematically and progressively that separation is not real and only oneness is real. And eventually you get to the realization that none of it is real. The idea of separation, which sponsored all of these mad illusions, simply isn't there. And it's not true or real, and so your mind is then healed or corrected completely 100%. And when you're in that state, you're in the enlightened state, and very soon after that, you're likely to let go of your body, lay the body aside, and simply abide as God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness in your eternal state of mind, incorporeal state of mind. So that's what we're doing here. That's what this Art of Letting Go is about. That's what this program is about. Facilitate the 100% letting go of your belief in separation in every situation that seems to be prevalent and happening. You can let it go. Okay, so any questions about that, Julie? It's a bit of a download there in 10 minutes of really the entire metaphysics of the course, but I wanted to share it with you so you understand how deep this goes and why a program like this is required to really fully let go, because it's letting go of the underlying belief in separation and the separate identity that creates in every situation. That's what the Holy Spirit is trying to help you to do.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see it in diagrammatic form. Actually, kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, excellent. So this is available to you from the. If you want to go into the course manual, you can go and see the whole course manual just by clicking on that on that link. There's another one further down, LG course manual. So that's something, if you stick with the program, we will get through that next February. I work through the entire manual with transformational exercises that are incorporated into it. As the first 6 weeks of the program, the 1-year program. It's called the Art of Letting Go course. So yeah, we'll get there in time. Okay, so where were we? Did we read paragraph 3? I think we did. Kindness is love in action. Actually, Sally, perhaps you read that to lead us nicely into the lesson. Kindness is love in action.
So kindness is love in action, and how the blessings of love flow through you into the world to bless others, blessing you in the process. As today's mind training lesson from the Course in Miracles tells us very clearly, I bless the world because I bless myself.
So it's another version of a lesson we've had a few times, where he's talking about the idea of giving and receiving, which is a major way of learning oneness. You understand that as I give, I receive, because it's really one and the same presence that I'm giving and receiving, being love or pure formless awareness. Then you start to understand, you see, through the mechanism of learning that giving and receiving are the same, it helps you to understand that only oneness really is true. Because in heaven, there's no blessing the world and blessing myself. It's just a pure formless awareness of the truth, which this lesson is pointing to. I bless the world because I bless myself. Okay, so shall we go into the lesson? I forgot to record this. Never mind. Just use now. Okay, so let's have a look at, where are we? It's in 187. So I've already done a translation, you'll be pleased to know, over the time. So what we do, Julie, is we just discuss it, unpack it paragraph by paragraph, and then translate it. So there's the original we look at, and then there's the alternative. In the first paragraph, there isn't really much to change. So if you can start off by reading paragraph 1 for us, please.
Okay. No one can give unless he has. 2, in fact, giving is proof of having. 3, we have made this point before. 4, what seems to make it hard to credit is not this. 5, no one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. 6, it is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. 7, having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. 8, the truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess.
Okay, so any thoughts on that? You don't have to read the numbers, by the way. That's okay. Unless you really want to, of course. It's up to you. But so any thoughts on that? What's the essential message of that paragraph?
I think it's the idea that the way we normally think is that when you're giving away, you're losing something, and actually what this is saying is when you're giving away, you're actually gaining something. Yeah. And you cannot give away what you do not have. So
we must first possess what we would give. That's what should differ. So the world, being the ego, the world asserts, the ego asserts that you have lost what you possessed. And so on the material level, you give something away, you've lost it, and the ego looks on that as some kind of loss or sacrifice. But the truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess, because it's working on a different level. It's not working on the material level, it's working on the level of the mind. So when you give love, then what happens? It increases the love that you feel. So it increases what you possess. Just on another level, on a non-material level. So on the material level only, then giving would seem to be losing. You have to look at it from the interior perspective. So when we look at the integral model, you have to look at the interior as well as the exterior. It's not just about the form, it's about what you're feeling. And so if you give, we all know this feeling. If you really give, you do something with loving kindness, it increases the love that you feel. It doesn't diminish you. You've given away the thing, whatever the material thing was, if you were giving away something, but it's increased your sense of love and connection. Okay, so any comments on that? First paragraph.
There's that thing that people do sometimes where they say, go out and give money to people randomly, just go around and give everybody $10 bills or whatever they say.
Yeah.
But
random acts of kindness.
Yeah, but they're giving really to receive, because they know that the more they give, they receive. So yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? They're going through the process of giving, meant to be from the heart and unconditional, but really they're doing it because it's in their mind a method to create abundance.
To get more,
Yeah.
So, to be really authentic, giving must be from the heart and no thought of return or reward. So no external outcome. As soon as you have an external outcome in mind and you desire that, then you go out of the spirit, which only exists in the interior domain, and you move into the domain of the ego. So expectations and desires, and this is craving. This is the domain of the ego. And so, if you want an outcome from an act of kindness, then it's not kindness anymore. You expect something in return, and so it kind of taints it, because it's not done from the loving awareness that would simply be loving and kind. It's done from, oh, well, I'll do something in order to get something. And I think we feel that. If you feel that someone's in that state of mind, and it's conditional, it's not unconditional, then we definitely feel the difference between those two energies. It's noticeable.
It's a bit like working for money, isn't it? If you work for money, then it's just like, it's hard going and resistant. But if you work because you love it and then have money as a reward, not as a reward, have money just because that's the process, then that's a different energy altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really what the flow is about. It's about inside out. I'm inspired internally. I feel this is absolutely the right thing. This is my love coming in, and I'm expressing it in my work. And then, as a performance outcome, what shows up is, okay, well, maybe abundance comes in because I've added value. I get some value back, but no desire. And from my personal experience, it's much easier to operate in the first way than the second. If you go there and you show up and you have no desired expectation, it's like, well, it's all just freely given. As soon as you have the expectation, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't meet the expectation, and then we judge it and go, oh, it's a failure or it's a success, when in fact, all it was really valuable was the sharing, the giving and the sharing of love, through that experience. So I had an interesting experience with these talks up in Scotland, because it was very much just being present and doing it, and just dropping expectations of any outcome. So I'm not sure the retreat will happen, although that was kind of why we would overtly, okay, well, we are doing the talks to stimulate interest in the retreat and also in the program. It's a lesson in just dropping that and saying, well, what was given was given in the spirit of giving, and what comes from it comes from it, and that's just how it is, and not judging it from the ego's perspective, saying, well, oh, this outcome, this and this form outcome didn't happen, therefore it's a failure, and then feeling like that, that's then a block or a limitation on that loving awareness. And I had a nice, little miracle on the Sunday, I think it was. Just happened to be in a cafe in Findhorn. One of the guys who attended the talks just came up to me and said, he was about to buy lunch. He said, here we go. And he gave me 10 pounds. I said, oh, no, you really don't have to do that. And he said, no, I want to. Just thank you for coming up. So those kinds of, miracles happen. If you don't have expectation, then it's a real surprise and a joy. You go, oh, wow, that's really heartwarming. But if you have an expectation that you should be getting something, then that kind of really surprised, miraculous feeling just can't happen. So yeah, it's always inside out. Drop the expectations and just let it flow. And you're kind, loving and kind for the sake of it. Because love wants to be shared. That's why you do it, just with no expectation of any kind of performance outcome, any kind of reward. Otherwise, it gets tainted and corrupted. Okay, so happy with number 1. I think we've kind of done that. Truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. So you're not actually losing anything. All right, Sally, if you can read number 2. Not much to translate there, so just read it in the alternative.
How is this possible? For it is sure that if you give a finite thing away, your body's eyes will not perceive it's yours. Yet we have learned that things just represent the thoughts that make them. And you do not lack for proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen them in your mind. Perhaps the form in which the thought seems to appear is changed in giving. It must return to her who gives, nor can the form it takes be less acceptable. It must be more.
Okay, so any thoughts on that?
I know the energy went funny halfway through it. Kind of got lost in the words there for a minute. Yeah, it appears like you're giving something away, doesn't it? But I like what you said just before. You said love wants to be shared, and it's all love, isn't it? Love is just the movement in this imaginary world. So as soon as we put any expectation on it, it stops the flow, doesn't it? Yeah, that's interesting. Back to the lesson. Yeah, things represent the thoughts. Yeah, they do, don't they? I can feel a lot going on in my mind, like, oh yeah. Yeah, all things are thoughts, aren't they? So when you think you're giving something away, you're just thinking you're giving it away. Yeah.
Yeah, when you give ideas away, so you share an idea with someone, you strengthen it in your own mind. So you share an idea, and the other person accepts and goes, oh, okay, that's interesting. You've strengthened that idea through the sharing in your own mind. I mean, it's fairly obvious, which is why often people, they want to speak whatever they believe. This, the more you express something, the more it strengthens in your mind, even if it's false. You say it and you say it and you say it, and the more you say it, the more it strengthens that idea, which is how propaganda works. So it's a false idea, but say it and say it and say it over and over again, and then eventually it starts becoming true for the mind. The mind just accepts that as a belief. So he's saying you don't lack proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen them in your own mind. So why do we doubt that love, the ultimate idea, that when you give it away, it's strengthened in your own mind? It's the same principle. And so you give it away in your acts of loving kindness, kind words, kind actions. You're giving love away, and so you're not losing, but you're gaining. You're strengthening that love in your own mind by the giving, which is why giving or extending love is a big part of most spiritual practices. They say, you know, do service, give freely, because that confirms in your own mind that love is true and love is real. And the more you do it, the more you believe it. And so the extending, the expression of love is a big part of correcting the mind. If you just keep all the love to yourself and keep it internal, and it's all just your interior experience, that's going to probably hamper your learning, because expression or extension of it is a big way that you strengthen it in your own mind. So hence the extension or expression that Yeshua is asking us to do, saying, be a miracle worker in the world. Extend this love in your thoughts and your words and your actions for yourself and for the at-one-ment of everyone. Because as you do it to others, you're strengthening the love in your own mind. And so that becomes then your purpose. You're looking for a sense of higher purpose. It comes from the giving and the extending of this love, and that might happen in your own unique way. So you might be a speaker, a teacher, a healer, a singer, an artist. There's many forms that love can take. So your special function becomes, how do you interpret that love and give it away in this world, in this unique way that inspires you and inspires others, using your unique talents, abilities, and skills. And so that then becomes how this can play out in form as your so-called higher purpose. Ultimately, your purpose is to receive and to give love. But then, you know, that's going to look different for everyone in their seemingly individual dream.
I had somebody come here for the day for a client session, and she bought me a beautiful butterfly plant, and she bought me some homegrown vegetables, and it felt like love. You know, the plant felt like love in a pot. Those vegetables were oozing with love in the fridge. And every time I look at them, look at the plant or the vegetables, I feel the love. And then I'm feeling love for her because she's given them in love. And it's a whole moving love cycle. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's how it works. So the things, if it's a thing, like a pot plant or vegetable or whatever, if it's been given in a loving spirit, then it carries the energy of that. It becomes the carrier of that frequency, and we can pick it up from, you know, from the thing. And so you experience love, and I can guarantee you the person who gave it to you will experience some of that love when you experience it. So she is blessed by her own giving. So, you know, her store of value, as Yeshua calls it in this lesson, is increased by the giving, because it's the love is expanded, the love is extended through the giving of the material thing. That's just symbolic of what's happening in the mind. So very profound stuff, and it takes you into a deep understanding of this integral model. In order to really apply this lesson, you must understand the interior and the exterior dimensions of reality and how they work together. So you learn this integral model not in theory, but you learn it in the practice of your daily life, how you think and speak and act. That's how you learn the integral model, in the same way as you learn A Course in Miracles. You learn it through your thoughts, words, and actions, and applying these lessons into the practical domain of your life. Okay. So any other thoughts on that? Must return to her who gives, nor can the former text be less acceptable. It must be more. Do you want to give a little summary of that, Sally?
Yeah, just giving and receiving is just that flow, and it will always return. If you give the love, it always returns. It's a cycle that we can tap into. And what I was thinking was, I grew up in another energy where my mother used to give conditionally, and there was no love attached to it at all. And it was like the gift, if there was one, came with a whole heavy baggage energy to it. So it's like you had to write a letter and thank her, you had to be there and thank her, and a whole process went on. So feeling the difference between the energy, giving conditionally is so heavy, and then this energy that we're talking about is so in flow. It's just love in flow, love in action.
Exactly. And you know the difference, because it just feels very different. There's a completely different feeling to an unconditional love, as opposed to conditional love, which isn't really love at all. So I love you, but not really, because it's really, what can I get from you? I'll do this if you do that. It becomes a barter or an exchange. I'll only give to you if I think I'm going to get something presumably of more value back. And so this is how the ego works, exchange. And in that, the unconditional nature of love is lost. And special love has come in, which is not love at all. In fact, it's a denial of love. And so we feel that quite strongly. And as you get into more and more of this flow of loving awareness and extending anything that's not that, you'll perceive that immediately as some kind of block, and it becomes kind of intolerable in your mind. You're like, no, I don't want that anymore, because I'm used to this new frequency of unconditional love, and I know what that feels like, and it feels much better. And ultimately, that's how you progress on this path to enlightenment. So how you feel. If it's feeling good and loving and expansive, then you're on the right track. And if it's feeling bad and negative and limiting and contracted, then you're on the wrong track. Okay, so happy with number 2. Shall we move on to 3? Julia, if you can read paragraph 3 for us. So I think read the original. There's a bit of translation to do here. So read the original, and then we'll do the translation. That way you'll learn the what the translation terms are.
Okay, I'm just going to read this, and then I'll have to head off, John, just to let you know that.
Okay.
So ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to save the world, you must first accept salvation for yourself, but you will not believe that this is done until you see the miracles it brings to everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased.
Okay. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, this really kind of hit into if you haven't experienced it. So if somebody has told you something, how something should be or how they've experienced it, and then you're passing that along, it's not really your idea, you're passing something else along. So the statement of, where is it? If you are to save the world, you must first accept salvation for yourself. So it's like that idea of going into that salvation for yourself, and then you can give that away. Then you've actually got something to give, because you've experienced it, you understand it, and it's then yours.
So I think read the translated version, and it might shed some light as well.
Ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to awaken the world, you first accept awakening for yourself. But you will not believe that this is done until you perceive the corrections it brings to everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that your blessings are increased by your giving.
Okay, so salvation is awakening. That's the translation. We call it awaken or awakening, and the C we change to perceive. You're not really seeing with the body's eyes, you're perceiving with the mind. So that's why we make that change. And then the miracles are corrections. The miracles are the corrections that in the mind that come when we accept loving awareness into our mind. So yeah, just for future reference, so you know, salvation is awakening, miracles are corrections, and instead of see, we try and use perceive. Now you can perceive that your store, giving is your store increased, your blessings, what you're referring to there is your blessings. Your store are increased by your giving. So you just change your perspective. And you see how this works. So to really get the integral model, and you really understand that the interior is primary, and this is really just the level of form. That's the effect, not the cause. You learn this in practice by operating a law like today's, by applying a lesson like today's. And so this is the way, the theory of, only ultimately the mind, the internal, is real. This is how it starts to dawn on you more and more, and you understand it more and more as you apply an idea like this, like today's idea, in practice. And that's how we learn this new thought system, through the application of these ideas in our daily lives. Make sense?
It does.
All right. So have you got to leave us now?
Yeah. Heading off
Okay.
to my kids now, so I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, and hope to see you again soon.
Okay, take care. Nice to meet you.
I've got another session tonight if you're free at 8:30. So
Great. Okay.
otherwise tomorrow afternoon at the same time.
Brilliant. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ginny. Namaste. All right. So number 4. I think just go into the alternative. There's not much to change there.
Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away, and you are sure that you will never lose them. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Yet do not value its form, for this will change and grow unrecognizable in time, however much you try to keep it safe. No form endures. It is the thought behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. The thought behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. So when it's talking about thought, it means pure thought, doesn't it? It means love, oneness, the awakened thoughts, yeah?
Thought behind the form of things.
All right, yeah.
We might even put that as a capital. So thought behind the form of things. So that thought, or maybe we could even change it to awareness. It is the awareness behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. I think that's maybe clearer. What do you think?
Yeah. That's
Awareness. Because thought, we translate thought in our minds as I'm thinking in some kind of subject-object dualistic way. So capital thought is better, but maybe awareness is even better. It is the awareness behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. So the pure formless awareness, okay, the base awareness that is not affected by form on any level. It's fundamental awareness, without which there could be no form and there could be no world. Your fundamental awareness, the ground of being, pure formless awareness of perfect love, call it whatever you want. It's the fundamental presence, without which there could be nothing. Not even an illusion could seem to exist without this awareness. So yeah, awareness I think is quite a good pointer in this context. Awareness behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. making the point there that it's unchangeable.
Yeah. So when it says protect all things you value by the act of giving them away, when it says things, does it mean form? Does it mean if you can you explain that a bit more? Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away. You're sure that you will never lose them. So is that saying the value is only in the love?
Yeah, I think things is maybe a bit of a misnomer there. Maybe we need a translation there, because things would seem to imply on the level of form, a thing, a material thing. All things you value by the act of giving them away, and you're sure you will never lose them. Okay, so the second part seems to indicate he's not talking about the material level, the exterior domain, integral model. He's talking about the internal. So those internal things are not really things, are they? They're actually qualities. Protect all things you value. So what's a better word for it? Protect all states of mind, all states of being, all feelings.
We've all got a bit of a problem to them, haven't they? Protect all states you value by the act of giving them away. Yeah, that's beautiful. That works for me.
Like that. Do you think we need to say states of mind, or
confusing, isn't it? Like you're adding another element.
Protect all states, so all states of mind, or all states of awareness.
All states of truth.
You value. I'm just thinking if we put states, I'm not confused with that. What do you mean by states? Protect all states of mind you value by the act of giving them away. So that's quite explicit. All states of mind, as opposed to or just all states. What do you think? All states is kind of neater. Sounds better, but all states of mind is more explicable, I think. More explanatory.
As soon as you say mind, then it gets confusing which mind you're talking about.
Yeah. All states of awareness. I like that. How about all states of awareness?
All states of awareness you value by the act of giving them away, and you're sure that you will never lose them. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that. Sometimes it's tricky, but can inevitably find some kind of translation. So you sure you never lose them, because how can you lose a state of awareness? It's not possible. You give away the state. You might give away something material as part of that kind of energy transmission. Give money or you give some material thing, but really the state of awareness itself you cannot value. You cannot lose that. See that?
And then it says, what you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. So again, thought is sometimes a tricky one, isn't it? Because you're thinking ego or truth.
Yeah. You thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Do not value its form. So in the illusion of the ego of sacrifice, we thought we didn't have this awareness. So the ego's desire for something else, it's always desiring some external outcome. That desire actually blocks the true awareness of love's presence. And so what we thought you did not have, these true states of being, love and peace and joy, is thereby proven yours. But do not value its form. So the form's going to change. This will change and grow unrecognizable in time, however much you try to keep it safe. So the form, don't get attached to form. Don't focus on the exterior, in other words, because that's going to change, and ultimately you will lose that, because no form endures, as he says. But it's the awareness behind the form of things that endures unchangeably. Okay, any other thoughts on that? Let me give a little summary. What's he saying there in summary?
Well, don't value anything in form, but the truth is the state of awareness beyond that you always are. And it always endures. It's always there. It's unchanging, the state of who you are. It's not in form.
Yeah.
That wasn't very clear, but I'm still practicing.
Yeah. It's fine, as long as it's meaningful for you, and you're expressing it as, to reinforce your own understanding.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot going on with this lesson. In some ways it's quite a simple lesson. In other ways it feels like it's really changing something.
Well, that's how these lessons work. This very simple idea, but then he starts exploring it, and you go, oh wow, that's actually really deep. And so it's about an experiential knowing. The more you practice these lessons, the more you start to experientially know the truth. Okay, actually, this is true. I can't really lose. As I give, I receive. And that is a major learning. How many people in this world do you know who understand that and really live their lives that way? As I give, I receive. It's very few, in my experience. If you fully understand that lesson and you live that way, you're enlightened. That takes you to the full enlightenment that undoes the ego entirely. So
yeah, it's interesting. I think the more you listen to it, the more I read it, the more I hear it. I listen to recordings of it and things, and I like, gosh, there's another layer and there's more to it. Oh, I see that differently now. And you just keep going, don't you? It's endless depth.
Yeah, and that is a sign of a good spiritual teaching. It's called deeper levels or higher levels, whichever kind of metaphor you want to use, of significance. So if something's got deeper levels of significance, it reveals more of itself the more you dive into it. And that's exactly how the Course works for everyone. If you just dive and it sort of reveals more, you go, well, I know I've done this lesson before many times, but it's like a fresh lesson. It reveals something new every time you do it. So that's why it's called the perennial philosophy, because it's like this perennial source of wisdom and strength and insight and understanding and courage and peace and joy, etc. All these things that he said, we value. These are the states, and the lesson can bring those to us just by going deeper into it. So I think the value of these sessions is that you do really go quite deeply into it, into the lesson, and then these things emerge. The deeper levels of significance emerge. It's like mining. We're going mining for the gold in these sessions, and then because you spend the time, it reveals itself.
So this lesson feels really experiential, that I can really feel the energy of it. The words aren't, the words for me to explain what I'm feeling aren't very clear, but yeah, it feels really, I can really feel the energy moving.
And that's really what it's about. And the words are pointers to an experience. If they give you an experience, then there's a shift that's happened. That's the miracle. So it's not just a dry conceptual words only. I've experienced people who try and take the Course on that level, and it doesn't really benefit them very much. intellectual concepts, and it's just kind of dry theory. It's got to become felt and experienced and lived in order to really, have the profound impact that it can. Okay, so happy with number 4?
Yep.
So moving swiftly on then to number 5, give gladly.
Give gladly. You can only gain by doing so. The thought remains and grows in strength as it is reinforced by giving. Thoughts extend as they are shared, for they cannot be lost. There is no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought in form most helpful to her. What she seems to lose is always something she will value less than what will surely be returned to her. Wow.
Okay, we'll unpack that.
So give gladly, so give freely. So it's in flow, not holding on to anything. The thought remains and grows in strength as it is reinforced by giving. Yeah. So you're feeling the giving, you're experiencing the giving, and then you experience the exchange of energy. The thoughts extend as they are shared, for they cannot be lost. Yeah. So it's a movement rather than a giving and an extinguishing. It's a flow state. There is no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. Yeah. There is a giver who retains and another who will give as well. That was the sticky one I had to read twice. So there's a giver who retains. What does that mean? The giver who retains?
No giver and receiver in the sense that the world conceives of them. A giver who retains, another who will give as well. So the giver who retains is the person who's on the level of form seemingly received the gift. Right, so they've seemingly the recipient, they've received something, and so they retain it, but they're also a giver of it, because they can then give it and share it and extend it as well.
Okay.
They accepted the gift, and it's a true gift. So we're talking about the gifts of God, love, peace, joy, happiness, and so on. Then the giver, if a giver's accepted this truly, retains the gifts, and then in order to give further gifts, must give. So the giver seems to retain, but actually is a giver as well. That makes sense. That's what I think that's what he's pointing to. Maybe there's another way of interpreting that, but for me, that's the interpretation that makes the most sense.
And both gain in this exchange, but each have the thought in form most helpful to her. Okay. What she seems to lose is always something she will value less than what will surely be returned to her. Yeah, it's a real energetic one, this one. Yeah, it's so beyond form, isn't it? It's like, you can't even describe it, can you? These words are quite clumsy, they feel, trying to explain it, but it's the exchange of energy. Yeah, it's like infinite exchange of energy, isn't it? It's like, what's that thing? Pay it forward, where one person gives and the next person passes it on, the next person passes on it, and it's just infinitely passed around the planet.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the spirit's equivalent of the ego's sort of Ponzi scheme or something like that. This just spreads, but there's no loser. It just spreads, virally, and it goes everywhere, and no one loses. Whereas with the ego, there's always a sense of loss involved. So what this person seems to lose is always something she will value less than what will surely be returned to her. So whatever you've given money, given time, given possessions, material things, you always value less than what will surely be returned to you, which is these gifts, the deeper gifts of love and peace and joy, which unfold in time. So there might seem to be a sacrifice on the level of form, but actually, in truth, that person, if they did it in the right spirit, will gain more by this. And so, in the learning of this lesson, you're really learning about oneness. You're learning the truth of oneness that underpins it. Giving and receiving helps you to really see that oneness is true, and that it actually works, and that it operates in this world as a very good and necessary replacement. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 5?
Just everything that you can give will always value less than love, peace, joy. So you're giving in spirit as part of the oneness. That's how I'm hearing it.
Yeah, well, the spirit is giving through you. See, it's another way of looking at it. It's not really you doing it, which you can then see how that teaches you that you're not really a separate self. There's no giver and receiver, really. It's one spirit or awareness giving to itself, seemingly in separate forms. I give to someone else. It seems like I, a separate person, are giving to them, but in truth, it's the one mind giving to itself. So this one awareness is giving to itself, and it's using you and the other person as the channels for that giving and receiving, to teach itself that it's one. And so in the giving and receiving, you break down the barriers of separation, and you realize that you really are one with that person. So there's no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them, because there's really only one mind behind it all. And then when we experience that one mind, so as an example, that guy giving me the £10, that was from the heart, very genuine. Now there was a sense of a joining in that. He's given, and I've received. So I've received the £10. He's given the £10. So he's lost £10. I've gained £10 on the level of form. But actually, we both gained in the exchange because we both felt the love, and we felt the connection. And so he didn't lose £10, as this says. What he seems to lose is always something he will value less than what will surely be returned to him. So he didn't value the £10 as much as the feeling of love and of gratitude that he got by doing that. So he said, I want to do this because it brings him a feeling of that love and gratitude and that connection, which, because he's on the spiritual path, is more valuable to him than the £10. So a lot of in these interactions, and this is why it's such an important lesson, giving and receiving, and it's repeated a number of times in the course. There's a number of these kinds of lessons where he talks about giving and receiving, just using different words. It's such an important lesson because it's how we practice oneness in this world. We learn that oneness is true through operating this law of giving and receiving, as in the spirit rather than the ego's way. The more we operate that, the more we learn, yes, oneness must be true. I'm not really separate from anyone or anything, because I gain when I'm giving. So how can sacrifice and loss and separation be real then? So it kind of helps us to operate the law of oneness and really learn oneness in this world, which is why it's an important lesson.
Because we are the giver and the receiver.
Yeah, exactly. We're all of it. And what he's saying is, don't be fooled by the level of form. Nothing so blinding, I think this was yesterday's lesson, nothing so blinding as perception of form. So if you only see the form, think of think of the commercial world we live in. You know, a company that's typically bound to, well, you know, what's the next quarter's profit? How much money are we making? They don't see that the entire business is based on an exchange of energy, and that it's giving and receiving that energy, that the flow of energy that makes it sustainable. So if they start wanting to take more, it's all about taking and rather than giving, then you actually block the flow. You block the flow of this true energy, loving energy coming in. And eventually, if you keep doing that, that's going to destroy the business, because nothing can exist without that flow of love and life coming into it. And so, you know, and this happens over and over. Big companies, they start getting obsessed with the material, the level of form. I'll give you a classic example of this. I might have given it before, so excuse me if I have, but I don't know. So it was, you remember Kodak? Well known, you know, they were the biggest photographic company in the world 40 years ago, and they invented, one of the employees invented digital photography in 1975, and he went to the powers that be and said, "Look, this is what I've got. You know, what do you think? Shall we?" And they shut it down because they were more concerned about losing sales. They said, "We're going to lose film sales." So the level of form was dominating their thinking. Nothing so blinding as perception of form. And they forgot that the real mission of the company was to help people to share experiences, to share the experiences through the technology. It wasn't about film sales. It was the sharing of these experiences which got captured in images. And so they forgot their real purpose. And they got sidetracked and blinded by the level of form. And as a result of that blinding, 15 years later, Kodak went bankrupt because they could not see the truth of their true purpose. If they'd known their true purpose, our purpose is to add value to people's lives by helping them to take photographs easily and quickly and share these photographs as a way of connecting with others. If they'd seen that that was their true purpose, they would have gone, well, the film sales are not, you know, that's not really our purpose. So this will allow us, this new technology will allow us to fulfill our purpose more truly, more easily, more truly. So yes, we've got to do it. Absolutely, we've got to do it. We can't get obsessed by the level of form. And then Steve Jobs, as another example, in the early days of Apple, they went and they saw an operating system, basically what became the foundation of the Apple operating system as well as Windows in the late 1970s. And they'd already invested a lot of money in developing their own kind of operating system. But they saw, you know, this kind of graphical user interface, what has become Windows, and you know, the foundation of all these operating systems. And they saw that for the first time, and they walked away. And one of the executives said to Steve Jobs, "No, we can't afford to do this. We've already invested millions in our own operating system. We can't afford to do this. You know, this will kill the company." And he said, "Well, best we kill the company and someone else doesn't kill the company, because if we don't do this, we're ultimately sowing the seeds of our own destruction. We're not going to be keeping up with the competition, because this is where it's going. And so we have to take whatever we've done as a sunk cost, we take the hit, and we do this because it's the right thing to do." And if they hadn't done that, the Apple Macintosh wouldn't have been born, and the company wouldn't have grown. It probably would have died from that one decision. So you can see then so clearly how vision, the true vision of and understanding this integral model and understanding what the true purpose is, which Steve Jobs did and the Kodak executives didn't, is absolutely critical to that business's survival and performance. One mistake, you get this wrong, and you start, you know, focusing on the level of form, that can kill the company. And it's been proven over and over and over again. This happens. So, you know, nothing so blinding as perception of form. You know, some hard-nosed business executive might go, "Oh, well, that's all a bit woo-woo." But actually, if you look at how that plays out, it's not woo-woo at all. That makes the difference between that company surviving and thriving. Just that shift in mindset. So it's actually really, really practical and really tangible. And this particular lesson, is how you apply it. So, it's actually amazingly practical, even though we're talking about high metaphysical principles and ultimately oneness. How it translates, how the rubber meets the road, in these lessons is enormously practical and beneficial. If corporate executives understood this, they'd make much better decisions. And they wouldn't be attached to the form outcome. They'd go, let's go to values and purpose always. Values and purpose are primary. That's what drives the business. Let's go to that, and then we'll make the right kind of decisions. But too often they're blinded by form, and so they don't. And of course, in the long term, the business suffers. So in the short term, probably, yes, their film sales would have taken a hit and they would have suffered, maybe in the first couple of years. But in the long term, they would have succeeded and thrived in a way that those blinkered corporate executives couldn't see. Okay, so that's a little teaching around that. But yeah, this is really applicable. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. A Course in Miracles is the best business training anyone could have. It's the best life training, it's the best business training, because these principles apply universally in every field. Okay, happy to move on to number 6.
Yeah, this might have to be my last one. I think I've got to go at 2:30.
Okay.
So
Well, we can go into a 10-minute med if you like.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. What, read first and then have a med?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
do that.
Never forget you give only to yourself. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice. Nor can she fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. She laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty, starvation, and at death. She recognizes sacrifice remains the one idea that stands between them all, and in its gentle laughter they are healed. Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really feel good paragraph, that.
Yeah, so it's lovely to think we only give to ourselves. That's obvious, but and also nice to read it.
And we can't really lose. Sacrifice. And he mentions pain and loss and sickness and grief and poverty, starvation and death, because it's all part of the same thought system. So if you believe that sacrifice in any form is possible, or I lost something by giving it, then what you invite is pain, loss, sickness, grief, poverty, starvation, and death, because they're all part of that thought system based on loss or sacrifice. If we recognize that that's just not possible, then in our gentle laughter, they are healed. And in her gentle, it should be not it, in her gentle laughter, they are healed. So we just laugh and go, that's just ridiculous. I can't possibly lose. How can I lose this loving awareness that I have? I can only gain. The more I give, the more that awareness gets strengthened. And this is eternal. So how can I lose? That's really not possible. And so all these forms of loss that seem to haunt the world, pain and loss and sickness and grief and poverty and starvation and death, we recognize that sacrifice, the idea that I can lose, remains the one idea that stands behind them all. And then we just laugh at it and go, that's ridiculous. It can't happen. So we go back to our diagram here. The one idea behind all of the forms of the ego, the loss, the pain, the sacrifice, the death, is that we've won our identity. We've gained an identity, but at the expense of love. And so that's the idea that underpins the ego's whole thought system. I've gained, and then there's this loss. Oneness, love has been lost. So the price of my separate existence is this tremendous loss of feeling of loss, of love. And that haunts the ego, and whatever it does, it can never shake off that feeling of loss. And it never will, because it's not true. what it's believing in is false, and what it's denied is the truth. And so it's actually seemingly lost the truth. And this lesson just reminds us, well, you can't really lose the truth. You can never really separate from love. It's always there, and you can now recapture it, remember it. By operating, you can't really lose, so love is there in your mind, and then you extend it out, and that teaches you that loss is not possible. And you just laugh at all these forms of loss, of sacrifice that the ego's invented, because you see them all as untrue. And therein lies your healing and the healing of others whom you interact with. And so that's how the at-one-ment works. So, the beauty of these lessons, they're really simple, but wow, they're so profound. I mean, it takes you all the way to the core of the ego, understanding that loss isn't real, and then the correction of that, just accepting that only love or pure formless awareness is real. Each lesson really applied will do that for you, which is why it's such a powerful mind training process, because each lesson is pointing you beyond the illusion back to the ultimate truth, 100%, no exceptions, letting go of all of this, all exceptions to the truth, and accepting only the truth back into your mind. Each lesson will do that for you if you practice it well and practice it deeply. Okay, so it's now 20 past. Shall we dive into a 10-minute meditation? Do you have to go at exactly 12:30, or have you got a few more minutes?
No, I'll go a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's full. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a 10-minute meditation then. Just making yourself comfortable, sitting feet shoulder width, back straight, cup your hands on your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching your sphincter muscle, locking the energy in. Just drawing energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart just to connect with your heart space. And then draw it all the way up into the crown of your head. And you pause at the top of the inhale. Take a few seconds just to scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, any related physical sensations going on for you. Breathe into them again. Take another sip of air in, just to create some space, some light. If you visualize light, well, you can visualize a golden or white light flowing into any areas of darkness and tension in your body, in your mind, in your energy system. You breathe that light in. And now just remind yourself of today's lesson, which is that I give the blessings I receive. I bless the world because I bless myself. Bless the world because I bless myself. So you're just going to let go with the help of this lesson. And your breath, exhale and release any negative thoughts, emotions, sensations, and just bless the person or people involved. Say, I bless you, my brother, my sister. I bless you with the blessings of love and peace and joy that I have received and I claim for myself. So this restores your mind to the truth that these blessings are given to you always and always, and you cannot really be separate from them. So just sinking inwards to a deep recognition of this truth, breathing in and out through your nose, breathing in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. Observe the breath. Let the peace of pure formless awareness arise in your mind. peace of God. It's been called its apostles or understanding. And just let these words, I'm going to read the rest of the lesson to you. These words drop into this quiet, empty, spacious awareness. So you can accept them into that awareness on a deep level. Just let them penetrate in on an energetic level. Feel into these words so that you don't just intellectually understand them, but you actually understand them on a feeling level. So Yeshua says, illusion recognized must disappear. Do not accept suffering. And you remove the thought of suffering. Right? So you simply let it go. Accept that suffering is not possible. Your blessing on everyone who suffers when you choose to perceive all suffering. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers when you choose to perceive all suffering as what it is. Just an illusion. Thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. So just breathe in the power of truth, this abundant life and love that knows no sacrifice and no loss. And as you exhale, just dismiss any thought and any feeling of sacrifice and loss. Letting it all go with the breeze of your breath, blowing it out like a dark smoke out of your mouth. And never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. The thought occurs, its very presence proves that error has arisen and correction must be made. Your blessing will correct it. So if there's still any errors, loss and sacrifice in your mind, just bless the person, people involved, the situation. Given first to you, it is now yours to give as well. So the love and the peace and the joy that are given to you by your source are now yours to give. And in the giving, this idea of sacrifice is healed. So no form of sacrifice and suffering can endure long in the presence of someone who has let go or forgiven and blessed herself. So do that right now. Let go, again with the breath. And in the letting go, you bless yourself. These are the lilies that your companion offers you. The blessings that your companion offers you come from letting go. Blessings that your companion offers you are laid upon your altar. The ones you offer him beside them, laid upon your mind, or accepted into your mind. Who could fear to look upon such lovely and whole awareness? The great illusion of the fear of perfect love diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. Do not be afraid to look. Blessedness you will perceive will take away all thought of form. Instead, leave the perfect gift there forever, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. So just to close the meditation for a couple of minutes, just the sense of sinking into this perfect gift of pure formless awareness, of perfect love. And so you receive it, and at the same time, you give it away. But so you don't hold on to it, it just extends through you. So have a sense of receiving it and then giving it or extending it to everyone and everything. There's a specific person or people that come to mind, give it to them. So you feel the giving and receiving in your mind. You accept the love and then you give it, extend it out. accept it and give it. And this is how you learn that it's there forever, forever to increase, forever yours, and forever given away. So sink into this feeling, this infinite, expansive awareness of love. Experience this increasing forever, giving away forever, forever yours, forever given away, forever increasing, for a minute or so of deep silence. So just gently coming back to an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing the breath flowing in. Observe any thoughts and emotions in your mind. Anything you don't want, just let it go. On the count of 2, exhale, release. As the air flowing out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down from the crown of your head into your lower stomach and your groin. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching with your hands. Notice what you're smelling as you breathe in. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing without any judgment, just an awareness, underlying awareness of the truth, which you're going to carry with you for the rest of the afternoon and evening. To help you do that, top yourself up frequently with this lesson. So just remind yourself of the key idea, or listen to a breath break if you have 5 minutes, and that should keep you in a state of blessing, receiving the blessings and giving the blessings. So count to 3, open your eyes, just look around, feel this blessing in you, and that the blessings are extending in your perception to everything and everyone that you see. So this awareness blesses the world. So that's why I bless the world, because I bless myself. So as I'm aware of this presence in me, I bless the world with my enlightened perception of it, and from perception come thoughts and words and actions. So I wish you good practicing and many blessings, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Thanks, Sally, and namaste.
Namaste. See you tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm just going to wrap this up. We've done the first 9 paragraphs. I'm just going to read paragraph 10 and 11 for you. So let's just read paragraphs 10 and 11 to do the entire lesson. So read the original for number 10. Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone. And here, before the altar, to one God, one Father, one Creator, and one thought, all of those are capitalized, we stand together as one Son of God, not separate from Him who is our source, not distant from one brother who is part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips, and as we look within, we see the purity of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. So translated, Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone. Now we one in true awareness. I'm going to change thought to true awareness, I think. Now we one in true awareness. Because our true awareness is unity. For fear has gone. So there's no fear of our source and there's no fear of anyone else in this unity awareness. And here, before the altar is foundation. For the foundation to one pure formless awareness of perfect love. One source. So one God, one pure formless awareness of perfect love. One source, one self, and one thought. We stand together as one extension of perfect love. So it's all one. One awareness, one love, one source, one self, one thought, one awareness, and one extension of perfect love. Right? It's all in one line. Not separate things going on. One awareness. So not separate from our source, not distant from one companion who's part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. So we are not separate from our source and not distant from one companion. It's part of our one self whose innocence has joined us all as one. So we're not separate from anyone. We stand in blessedness, in this awareness that we are one. And we give this awareness as we receive it. So we give the loving awareness that we have as we receive. So the identity of perfect love, which is the name of God, is in our awareness. The identity of perfect love is it's on our lips. The name of God is on our lips. So I translate that as the identity of perfect love is in our awareness. And as we look within, we perceive the purity of the state of pure, formless awareness shine in our reflection of our source's love. Now are we blessed, and now we bless the world. What we have looked upon we would extend, for we would see it everywhere. We would behold it shining with the grace of God in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything we look upon. And to ensure this holy sight is ours, we offer it to everything we see. For where we see it, it will be returned to us. In the form of lilies we can lay upon our altar, making it a home for innocence itself, who dwells in us and offers us His holiness as ours. So translated, now we are blessed, and now we bless the world. So we want to extend what we have perceived. On what we have looked upon, to extend what we have perceived. For we want to perceive it everywhere. We would see it everywhere. We want to perceive it everywhere. And we choose to perceive it shining with the grace of pure formless awareness in everyone. So everyone has this awareness, and it is shining in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything we look upon. So we do not want it to be withheld from anything we look upon. And to ensure this wholly aware perception is ours, we offer it to everything we perceive. And where we perceive it will be returned to us in the form of blessings we can accept into our minds, making them a home for innocence itself. It dwells in us, offers us its pure formless awareness as ours. So, summary of this lesson is as we accept this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love into our own minds, we experience the blessings of it, and then we extend those blessings to others. Firstly, in our perception, the way we perceive others. It's fundamental to our behavior towards others. We perceive others as one with us, and that's how we extend these blessings. So the love and the peace and the joy we feel from accepting this awareness into our own minds, we then extend it in our perception to others. That becomes the foundation of our relationship with them, and our thoughts and words and actions follow from that change of mind. So that's why as I bless the world, I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. So first I bless myself by accepting this loving awareness into my mind, and then I can bless the world as a result of having accepted the blessings into my own mind. I can't give what I don't have. So the more I extend these blessings, the more I experience them. And so that brings us to the end of the lesson, I think. So thank you for listening to the recording. Thank you for joining Sally and Julie earlier. And I will send out this translated version of the lesson to the Telegram group. So you can read that as well, the translations, along with this recording. So I wish you good practicing. Practice this idea frequently. Yeshua recommends every hour, even if it's just for a few moments, bringing the idea to mind. If you have a bit longer, you can use the 1 minute, do it in under 1 minute by following the instructions I've given you in your email and Telegram message. Or if you have 6 minutes, I've sent you a breath break, which is a 6-minute breath break you can listen to top you up and really have a little immersion into this lesson and the frequency it holds, so that you top yourself up with this energy frequently, and that should help you have a very blessed day, which is what I wish you. Blessings to you, and namaste, which means the divine blessings in me, knowledge and honor those same blessings in you.